medications.
Yeah.
So there you go. Sentenced to 41 months in prison, so just shy of 2 years, after pleading guilty to obstructing an official proceeding. I was saying, Craig, that's a hard one to deny, because rather than Congress doing the business of Congress, they were evacuating buildings, hiding under desks, bullshit like that. So that was the same thing with the seditious conspiracy, which is what they got the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers leaders on. Overthrow the government, that's a really tough sell with who showed up and what took place. But disrupting the government, I think that's low hanging fruit.
Yeah. This one, it's a lot of times like this is where people really conflate, like when they're doing they think where it was almost disproportionate, the punishments, because just like I said, not too long prior to this, we had the BLM riots where literal buildings are being torched, cop cars are being torched. People actually died, during these riots, and they're not getting anywhere near these sentences. And a lot of these ones, like I said, then that's where a lot of them were the defense are like, I didn't burn down a building. I sat in a chair, and I'm getting these massive, sentences, being thrown. And so a lot of them were looking at this as a politically motivated, like why they're being targeted was strictly through politics. And it wasn't for the fact of what they actually did, because like I always argued, I mean, you want to talk about an unruly mob that's, when's the last time you ever saw a riot where everybody stayed within the velvet ropes?
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of videos where walking right through the hall, in the Capitol building, and they're staying in the ropes. They're not jumping over, toppling over all this stuff. They're actually staying like they're on a guided tour. And but that was being told to everybody, this is a violent mob that was rioting in the Capitol. I'm like, these two things are not really jiving. Is the story that's going out in MSM and what you're seeing.
Right. So I did let the audience know that 1,500 people have been tried and only 600 of them have been convicted. So that does play out. It's about two-thirds. So I think that does play out in ways. Thanks to the Beardos who are showing up. Thank you, Fringe, for the compliment. Hey, King. Yeah, I'm going to put Shadow's comment here, and I'm going to read it because for our radio audience in 3 weeks, all these charges, potential charges, acts, and alleged acts should be assessed in light of the unique intended power structure of the United States. Though a republic, this is not a top-down system of government. I mean, if I'm anything, and I don't know if I've ever said this on the show before, Craig, or even said it to you in passing. If I'm anything, I'm a Jeffersonian. And he mentioned about the tree of freedom, needing to be watered again, now and again. That's certainly true. People have a right to assemble. They have a right to demonstrate. And I did say too, Craig, this is all about semantics. This is all about degrees and interpretations. Is insurrection too strong a word? Is riot too strong a word? Me
personally, I think insurrection, it's kind of like the people that cry racism all the time, where it loses its meaning. It's like calling this an insurrection. These people, there was no immediate threat to any, even though you have the people like, I was hiding under my desk. Like AOC was one of the ones. She wasn't even in the same building.
That's right. She was.
She was like I said, there was nobody hunting down members of Congress. I mean, there's people. You always have the nut jobs, and it's just like anything. It's like whether gun control, whatever you can always post to that. There were some crazies that were in there. That's not even up to debate.
Yeah, that's playing the percentages though.
But it's one of those, like, to call it an insurrection. I would say, the guys jumping up, climbing up over the railing and stuff like that. Were those some of those people? I'm not sure, but I go, when you have Capitol police officers moving barricades and letting people in, this isn't a violent attempted overthrow of government. For me, the ones that really the charges that should have been, because it's the people's house. It's like, you should be allowed to be in the house. I mean, that the ones that went into like the speakers room and started rummaging through the desk and stuff there, it's just like anything, like people, no matter what town you're in, there has to be a certain set aside to where, like City Hall, there's the main floor where everybody has access, but like the government offices, that has to be, personnel only. And that's where like the speaker's room, that type of stuff, that's one of the things. The person that was rummaging through there trying to find papers and stuff, that's somebody that actually, that I have no problem with actually facing charges. But the people that are actually just walking the hall, not damaging anything, I mean, if anything, like you said, it should just be some, I don't even know if it's misdemeanor, community service, something, but prison time, I can't even rationalize how that would even be considered, justice in that aspect.
Well, and again, 1,500 people tried 600 sentence. So
yeah,
I don't have the data.
I know, but I'm just like 600, there wasn't 600, instances of like massive, like stuff. And I'm like, yeah, the guy that really was rummaging through trying to find stuff, that Nancy Pelosi had on there. Yeah, he needs to be charged.
So, Charles, you're right. We have judges and juries, but we do know that judges are highly, 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 highly political, and juries are fallible. So, I suppose, although I'm skeptical of this statement, Churchill says, that democracy is imperfect, but it's the best we have. So, a lot of people.
If you rely on a jury, all I have to say, all I have to say in response to the jury's thing is OJ.
Well, yeah, and look at the Menendez boys; they're about to overthrow that.
Yeah, they're So it's
So I'll talk about a few of these people real quick here, just so we can pace ourselves. Richard Barnett was from Arkansas. I took out the states they were from most places. Like I said, they came from 44 different states. He was part of a group called the 3 Percenters. I mentioned earlier they're a sovereign citizen organization. They're just very anti-government. But have you? I didn't actually see the phrase. I just want to be so careful. I didn't actually see the phrase "sovereign citizens" with 3 Percenters, but it feels like it.
They're definitely tied in, and it's one of those. Every community's had, even the community I work for. Like I said, we've had encounters with the sovereign citizens, and that they're pieces of work.
Yeah, let me tell you. So he puts his feet on Speaker Pelosi's desks and he leaves a vulgar note for her. So there are shades, there are phases, there are gentlemanly behavior and not, you know what I mean, right? He was convicted on several charges, including theft of government property. And of course, you know, when we go into our local city hall, we have to go through the detector, and we have to do certain things and behave ourselves. So it's a hassle. Adam Johnson was photographed carrying Pelosi's lectern through the Capitol, smiling and waving. He was sentenced to 75 days in jail. The concentration on Pelosi, Craig, kind of makes sense to me. She went so head to head with Trump and not always in a political professional way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there was a real deep-seated dislike for her.
That's part of the reason why some of these guys literally went to their office is because they were they that guy, especially the one that put his feet on the desk and was rummaging through everything. He's one that you could actually say, that was his goal the whole time, is because he had to find that information that she's done this. I'm going to find it. Those are the ones where I would be willing to put in the insurrection, to label something along the line for those people. But when you have guys like Michael W., when he's there, he went on a train to go he wanted to observe, he was doing all this stuff. I go to lump him in as an insurrectionist, as somebody that's not what he was doing at all. I mean, he was so worried he went into hiding for a while.
Right. And unfortunately, we would have reached out to Michael, but he passed away about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know all the facts, but there was a proximity, and he just had a new book come out at the time, which he should have been really promoting. And anybody that knew Michael, he was on camera hours every day.
Yep.
He was on camera hours every day. So he went from 60 to 0. And like I said, he passed away about a month ago. It's been very quiet, Craig. That's a side note. But he worked his ass off for the paranormal community and created a award show and all. It was very quiet, his passing, and it was hard.
Yeah, it was a shame.
Here's one for you, brother. So talking about like where the lines are of insurrectionists, because I don't even know about the guy putting his feet on Pelosi's desk and leaving a vulgar note. I don't even know if that's insurrection to me. But let's go another level. Let's go another level here. So Proud Boys, Oath Keepers. I don't know if you want to call it a rumor. The DOJ line, let's put it that way. The DOJ line is that they were coordinating and planning this well before January 6th using encrypted applications, specifically discussing breaching the Capitol to disrupt certification of the Electoral College results. So, as I reminded everybody, Craig, they entered the Capitol at 1:49, and at 2:24, so a half an hour later, Trump tweeted Pence didn't have the courage to overturn the election results. Those two things don't live together great to make a case that he wasn't involved and isn't at all culpable. But anyway, so supposedly they were doing this. Dominic Pizzola, Proud Boys, used a police shield to break a window. He was guilty of several charges, including seditious conspiracy. Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio, 22 years in prison for seditious conspiracy. That's a long time, 22 years. Stuart Rhodes, Oath Keepers leader, convicted of seditious conspiracy. Guy Reffitt, 3%er, convicted partly due to testimony from his son, who reported to the FBI and testified against him. And do you remember, Craig, that was big news when that happened, when the kid turned in his dad? Yeah, that was...
It is. I often wondered if it was one of the, because some of the ones, like, they turned them in, I mean, it was almost like there's pressure on them, because there's a lot of people that just suddenly like, hey, I've got one right here. I got one right here. Go where, here's one that was there. And that was, I'm trying to remember what Charles said.
Charles, I think I need some clarification there. So are you saying the things that happened off camera didn't happen, or worse things happened that we didn't see on camera, therefore it truly was an insurrection? Or if you don't mind.
Because as far as I know, some of the people are convicted of what we saw on camera.
Oh yeah.
That was, and that wasn't
Buffalo Shaman and this and that. The guy who was the video carrying out the lectern. That was caught on video. So Charles, so just stay with us and just give us a little more info so we could address that properly. Craig, I was telling the audience, this is super, super topical. Every day I've been adding stuff to my notes because there have been hearings, trials, just the past couple of weeks. You want me to go into that? You want to?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. So early October of 2024, there was a House hearing. Y'all should watch this. Readily available. Merrick Garland. It was actually about whistleblowers, but a big part of all of this is inside happenings, inside dealings, and what would protections be for whistleblowers. So the big contentious thing was, were FBI agents undercover there? Was law enforcement undercover there? It certainly seems that could be the case. Also very contentious that we're almost 4 years on here, and the DOJ hasn't released a report yet. They're not going to release a report prior to the election, and they hope to have a report released by the next inauguration. And as some of the Congress people asked, how the hell can we prevent this 4 years on, take steps, learn from it, if we don't have a report yet? So obviously true. October 21st, this was just 3 days ago. When was this? In June of 2022, Liz Cheney chaired a congressional hearing. One of the people that testified was a member of the staff of Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, very high up person. Mark Meadows, someone intimately involved with the president. She testified at the time that she hand wrote a note for Trump to read, and that the note said anyone who entered the Capitol illegally without proper authority should leave immediately. Trump issued a statement kind of like this. 238, he did not call for them to leave the Capitol. He just said stay peaceful. 4:17 p.m. Trump releases a video telling rioters to go home. We love you. You're very special. So the handwritten note, I'll read it one more time. Anyone who entered the Capitol illegally without proper authority should leave immediately. Illegally was crossed out, but I've seen videos. Trump makes a lot of last minute changes to he's fascinating to watch. Have you ever seen that, Craig?
Mhm.
Where he has
Yeah.
the speech and he goes, I don't like this. I would never say this. I'm going to say this.
Yeah, and
So I'm not surprised. But here's the thing, dude. She testified to Liz Cheney and her gang that she wrote the note. They had it handwritten, analyzed. The note was actually written by White House lawyer Eric Hirschman, who has since admitted to it. This is why we do Sinister Mysteries, folks. Why the hell did Mark Meadows' staff member claim to have written that note when it was written by the White House lawyer? That doesn't help. That doesn't help us get to the bottom of this at all, at all, at all. And
Well,
this
I think
woman, just
no,
10
yeah, keep
seconds
going.
more, Craig. Cassidy Hutchinson talked about the inner workings of what went on that day, which has really been used as ammunition, and you got to throw it out. You got to throw it all out. So go ahead, brother.
No, I was saying just kind of on that because I think a lot of it was we remember from the show when we did on Obama. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah,
This one
Rahm
was,
Emanuel.
yeah, this one is we have that there was that there's actually this, and this was done like this. God, it just came out a few days ago. That Nancy Pelosi, will be nice and misremembered the fact that Trump had actually, called for, we need National Guard here to help think. And it's like, so this falls in the line that it's not a secret at all. Liz Cheney doesn't like it. Mark Meadows is not a fan. They think, and we've seen it doesn't take much for people to manufacture stuff to, because they're going to get some kickback by just say this. Because when you're saying, so why would they do this? Well, because you're going to get something in reward. I mean, it's not that unreasonable to think that somebody would be willing to do this. I mean, you've seen this stuff that politicians and ones in government are willing to, the lengths they're willing to go. Just claiming I made a note is not that big of a deal. What's going to happen to me? Yeah. And but then, like you said, that's the cool thing about the show is we point these things out. It's like, it has nothing to do with, it's like, whether you like the guy or don't like the guy, why make it up? The fact is, it's either he called for National Guard or he didn't. I mean, why do these, these smoke shows and try to, this thing, other than the fact that you've got this opportunity? I think we can get the guy now.
Yeah.
And that's, and that's what it seems like some people were doing.
I'm with you. Let's address Charles because he was nice enough to stay with us. And worse and more obviously, illegal acts like planning and finance are rarely even mentioned. I think where they showed up was with the 22-year jail sentence of the Proud Boy leader, the Oath Keeper leader, some of the other guys from these other seditious conspiracy is not something that they drop all the time. This is extremely rare. So I do think that it's covered there, Charles. But of course, it's not talked about in the mainstream. And you said rumors are there were several versions of that Trump video. We're going to talk about other videos and all, but thank you. Stay with us. We appreciate the comments.
But that's one of those things too. Is why would there be several versions?
I know
there either be a video or not, and that's why those are the type of things. It's like, that's where it really starts. It's like that thread. I got to start pulling on it.
Yeah,
when I hear those things.
And I just want to make it clear. I hope I'm not, like I said, I don't know what to call it. I don't call it an insurrection, a riot. Like I've said a couple times during the show, the government was disrupted. Wasn't an attempt to overthrow the government. If it was an attempt to overthrow the government, it was a pretty piss poor attempt.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, because like you said, just like that, I don't even know if I could call it a riot because there wasn't destruction. I think, as far as I know, one of the only things that was really like an actual damage was that one window in the door that got broken.
Yeah, and that guy went to prison. That guy went to prison for Does it say how long you went? No, but if he got seditious conspiracy, it's pretty hefty. It's a
But
pretty hefty
even like
sentence.
for me, like those one of those things. Okay, it's the people's house. You go into it. You go. Okay, yeah, you're. You can say the doors are locked, but once again, we have videos of the Capitol Police letting people in. So that's even at that point when you're being basically open. The doors are open. You're being let in. That's not. You can't even really call it breaking and entering. You've
Mhm.
been let into a facility, but to be calling these things like sedition, it's like at what point is a protest, does it go from protest to where you're being seditious? I mean, it's just you walk into a building. I mean, that's where I said it's really hard for me, like, just like you were saying, to classify insurrection, sedition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where is this thing? Because none of these guys have the power to take, and overthrow the government. So that no point was a president in jeopardy. I mean, none of this stuff was here. I mean, it wasn't like that. So I don't know. I mean,
Oh,
that was the biggest thing from theirs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're here today. So, Craig, another thing that I went over when I went over the timeline and this call for the National Guard. So there were National Guard in the area, 340 of them, because this was a planned demonstration. Everybody knew about it, and it was a First Amendment demonstration. It's tied to stop the steal, all of that kind of stuff. It's not like everybody got on buses because Trump made his speech that morning. They were already there. So there were 340 of them in support, logistics, traffic control, crowd control. 2 p.m., DC Mayor Muriel Bowser requested more National Guard. Acting Defense Secretary called up 1,100 members of the DC National Guard. That was at 2 p.m. They didn't actually show up until 5:40 p.m. And I've read statements from the National Guard themselves and a lot of other things. They called it a miscommunication between the Secretary of Defense of the United States and the head of the Army. A 4-hour delay when they were 10 minutes away, those guys.
Yeah.
So, Craig, that really does say who was trying to screw who. Who was trying to seize what opportunity. And
there's no secret, because like even people in the military and stuff, and this is one of the things, even for the people that don't like Trump and stuff, have to realize he's not a war hawk. He's one of the first presidents that we've never got us into a new conflict. Yeah. And so members of the military didn't like him. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty obvious, because even just a couple of days ago, it just came out, the former general, was saying the stuff about him too. Well, the reason is you've got guys where their whole career, their whole life is about breaking stuff and killing people. That's their career. And we have a president who doesn't want you to do those things. And so you get kind of mad. You can't do the thing that you know how to do. And so that's one of these things. I think a lot of the stuff was like retribution. Well, if we don't do this, things get a little bit more out of hand. It gets him in trouble. And that's what it seems like, especially with the stuff coming out about Pelosi and about these things that are actually starting to realize. It looks like some of it was politically motivated, which is what some of the people have been claiming. Absolutely. The whole time, that this was politics. This wasn't just some guy coming from Montana that's has hell bent on overthrowing the government. No, it looks like there was actually stuff. I mean, we haven't even touched on some of the really weird conspiracies.
Yeah, no, we'll get there. We'll get there though. Ron is asking about the pipe bombs. I watched when I watched Merrick Garland at the hearings 3 days ago. No, it was early October. I just watched it a couple days ago. So it was about 3 weeks ago. That's super, super contentious, and no one is really saying. Craig, do you want to speak to the pipe bombs? I decided to stay away from it because it's super thorny.
That was the thing. Like, the whole point of the show is for us is it was just like, it's not partisan. It's not something. It's like we're just going, here's the facts. And so it's even like the conspiracies, like we're going to touch on some of them, but no way is it like, oh, this one's completely plot. No, there's not going to be any Alex Jones, type thing here,
Right.
It's basically, this is what we know. And this is how it doesn't make sense. It's like, because you can look at the facts here, what you're being told, and the facts here are not matching up. And it's
Right.
like, quit listening to what you're being told. Look, it's
a
pretty
perfect
easy.
Sinister mystery. It's perfect. So one of these conspiracy theories here, Ray Epps, right, former Oath Keeper, on video encouraging people to enter the Capitol. That's one of them. Craig and I have a mutual friend. That's all I'm going to say. He knows someone who is a member of Antifa. And the day after, he said, yeah, there were 100 Antifa in MAGA. So this was another thing with Merrick Garland. Was there law enforcement? Were there agitators who weren't who they said they were? I trust the guy who told us, Craig, and I, it doesn't mean that it's true, but as journalists, if we dare call ourselves that, as investigators, that's a pretty good.
If that's the case, like I said, if those actually did happen, it's like Charles's comment from a while ago. That falls right under what he was saying about planning and finance. These Antifa people aren't just showing up because they want to. They're being bussed in. They're being given gear. They're being given all this stuff. So obviously that requires planning and financing. You don't just go, Republicans are out there, protesting in front of the Capitol. You don't just suddenly drive up in the bus and go picking up all your Antifa buddies, throwing on your gear and stuff. That means that there's some level of planning prior to this, which means that this wasn't just a spontaneous, which unfortunately that, I'm going to put my toes into the water here a little bit. That shows that there is a really good possibility of there being some truth to the one where this thing wasn't just a spontaneous, right? This was actually stoked, that there was people, in the crowd going, do it, and actually instigating it.
And are we going to get that in the DOJ report that comes out sometime before the inauguration? I'll tell you, Craig, here's my feeling. My feeling is, depending on who is in the White House, that is going to dictate what that report says. And that's why they're holding it back until after the election. That's my read. Yeah. That's my read.
I could see that.
Yeah. So I do want to, sir, with your permission, some people did die that day and in the aftermath. I want to run quickly through it. I think it's proper. It's a part of it.
Absolutely.
So I'll go quickly. Ashley Babbitt, 35-year-old Air Force vet, shot by a Capitol police officer while attempting to climb through a broken window into the speaker's lobby adjacent to the House chamber. Lieutenant Michael Byrd cleared of wrongdoing. We could probably make a whole show on that, guys. Let me just I just want to put this out there and respect the dead. And let's keep in mind that these people are dead. Kevin Grierson, 55 years old, died of a heart attack, never made it inside. Roseanne Boylan, 34. They thought she was trampled by the crowd. Turns out that it was most probably a drug overdose. Benjamin Phillips, 50, founder of a pro-Trump website. Okay, he died of a stroke. I want to move to the police. This is unsettling to me, Craig, and I'm looking forward to your take on it. Some police officers were beaten, pepper sprayed, racist, misogynist insults. Okay. Capitol Police Officer Caroline Edwards was knocked unconscious under the course of the events. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then several others. So we have, say, 7, 8 suicides in the aftermath. One was, these are all law enforcement, but I'll cover that. Brian Sicknick, U.S. Capitol Police, collapsed after engaging with rioters, taken to a hospital. He died the day after. They initially thought he died from injuries sustained, including being struck with a fire extinguisher, but wound up that he had 2 strokes. I'm going to hold that one because it was just in the news a week ago. Howard Liebengood, Capitol Police Officer, suicide January 9th, found to be done in the line of duty defending the Capitol. This was a very big contentious thing. This handful or a little more of officers who committed suicide, do their spouses, what does the record say about these suicides, and it's trauma. It's being found dying in the line of duty defending the Capitol. Kyle DeFreitag and Gunther Hashida were Metro Police. Their suicides were both in July of that year, and then several weeks after, there were several others. One caught my attention because it was just a week ago. His wife, Erin Smith, testified. This was Metro Police Officer Jeffrey Smith. He did suffer a traumatic brain injury during these events and also a fracture. He committed suicide 9 days later. So his trial was the hearing. The trial. I'm sorry. The trial of a woman named Dana Bell. She was sentenced to 17 months in prison, and she pled guilty to assaulting and resisting police, grabbing at a police baton, and accosting a police officer. This was caught by Officer Smith's body cam footage. She went to an area near the speaker's lobby where a rioter had just been shot. I am assuming, Craig, unless numerous rioters were shot, that this was Ashley Babbitt. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong there. I'm making an assumption.
As far as I know, I think she is the only one that was shot.
So it had to be her then. So she's lying there. They're trying to get medical personnel to her. They're asking this Dana Bell to get out of the way. Instead, she's cursing and giving the police the middle finger. I'm just trying to be fair here. I'm just trying to, there are certain things we know because of trials, transcripts. She did plead guilty to assaulting and resisting police. So again, I don't know. Was she plea bargaining? Did she not do it? We don't know. We only know the record, folks. That's all we can do. October 22nd, 2024, there was conviction of the Cowboys for Trump leader was upheld by an appeals court. So now, Craig, something new is happening. Now we're going into the appeals court and seeing if some of these convictions are standing up. His argument was this. No one told him that he said, yeah, I climbed over. Yeah, I went in. But nobody told me that the Secret Service was right where I was going, protecting high-level people. And I needed to know that information. And the court said you absolutely did not need to know that information because the Secret Service can't broadcast everybody they're protecting all the time. That feels a little spurious. That feels a little like grasping at straws. But I talked a bunch.
Yeah.
Take over.
It was one. This is kind of. It was a nice little segue too for some. Did I just freeze there?
I think you're good. You didn't freeze for me.
Okay. Good. So then what? One of the things that's one of the conspiracies about, and we said we're gonna address these things. One of them was that these guys knew stuff that they shouldn't know, and they were taken out. That it wasn't just that they were overwhelmed by the stress from the event. That they saw things, behind the scenes that they shouldn't have seen, and they, just dead men tell no tales.
These
and that's one of, that they saw something because there's a video out there too, where during one of the protesters, people can find this one. Is he's cuffed, he's got his arm behind his back. He's let in. That he's like one of these, and as soon as they get back in this hallway, they undo him. He's one of them. He's and this is one of the ones that they lean on to is where, okay, what's going on here? This is supposedly, treasonous, treason, riot, sedition. They're going through all this thing. This thing. They want to post that this is a violent thing. Well, if this guy was so violent, then and he wasn't an officer, why would he have then been handcuffed, brought into the special, then let go and just walked off? And you can just watch this video. He just walks off camera. And so these are some of the ones that they're talking about that possibly these officers saw this kind of stuff, knew this stuff, and to prevent it coming out, they were traumatized from the event and they couldn't handle it, and they lost their, they ended it. They unalived themselves.
Because of having to cover up.
Well, but it was one of those.
Wow. Wow,
like the
Greg.
CIA,
Dang.
CIA, where they come in that, just
Yeah.
like the Clinton list, shall we say?
Walk softly, brother. I'm reading
Yeah,
you. I
yeah.
I
That's
missed
that's
that.
that's what I said. And that's one of the theories. I don't know if I prescribe to that one, but it is kind of strange that officers, for everything that they go through, that
Yeah.
it's really strange that they would, that this event, would lead them to suddenly, I can't take it anymore, and I'm now unalive.
I I thought about that, and Joe Redmond. I just took it down, but I'm surprised at the number of suicides. I didn't realize there were so many. Yeah,
Mhm. And
I was too.
that's why
Maybe
it seems.
one. Yeah, maybe one you would expect. Yeah,
And these were people that were involved in the thing. This wasn't just like some guy that was on the outskirts that was
mm-mm, mm-mm.
manning, a barrier out there that suddenly. No, these were officers that were heavily involved in this thing.
Yes.
So if I had to say, out of all the conspiracies, I think, like I said, this is one of the ones that I would say possibly has some legs to it.
Yeah.
If I had to say, just because it's so unusual, to have this many, this many. I, I hate the world we're in, people, that we can't say words, that gets us thing, that we can't say the S word,
Oh
that we
well,
have to say
we've said it.
unalived, and
We've
also,
said it plenty. I
it's like,
forgot.
you
I
have to be
forgot.
careful how you phrase it and stuff, because then you'll get popped, and and it's
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. We seem to fly mostly under the radar, which is helpful because the stuff is out there and
I,
people are slowly
that's a
watching
good
it.
question, Charles. I don't know. I don't know if I
Yeah,
dug
I
in to
don't know
see
either.
who was former military,
Yeah.
or if any, if they were.
No, it was more like the civilians, like the Ashley Babbitt that was and
Mhm.
please, I want to make sure. Yeah, Ashley Babbitt. She was a 35-year-old Air Force vet. A high percentage of police are former, military. Um, so, Craig, I only have one more thing. And it just shows you these videos, different versions of videos, the way videos are cut, interpreted, and all of this. There was a 44-second video that was uploaded to Rumble. It went very viral on Facebook. It was shared, I don't know, over 7,000 times. It also went on a few right-wing websites. But the video is outside of the Senate chambers. There's a police officer there named Keith Robichaud. He's engaging with a group of protesters, and there's sound so we can hear it. This video was used to prove that the police had let these folks in, but they're already in. They're already in the Senate chambers, so that's a little
Mhm.
suspect. The man on the video says this, one of the protesters. Okay, protester, I think, is a good word, Craig, actually. But the man
Yeah.
says, police here are willing to work with us and cooperate peacefully like our First Amendment allows. That's exactly what you're saying, brother. This is the people's house. As long as you're not
Yep.
acting out and going all crazy and all, you could be there. And that's what he says. Police here are willing to work with us and cooperate peacefully like our First Amendment allows. So, like Shadow said too, we're not a top-down government. This is a government by the people, and the people are saying, hey, police, if you don't hit us in the head with a baton, we're going to be respectful. Robichaud says this: we're not against, you need to show, then show us. No attacking, no assault, remain calm. So this was a video, Craig, that unfortunately was spun, where it's actually very instructive about what you were talking
Mhm.
about. This is a police officer engaged with these citizens going, we have a right to be here. Let's come to an agreement. You don't attack us. We don't attack you. And the police officer's going, yeah, right on. You don't attack
Yeah.
me. I don't attack you. It's unfortunate. I wanted to bring that video to light because I think it's way more instructive and useful than how it was spun to prove a case that the cops were letting people in. That's what I have. It was a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. As we were talking, I was trying to see if I could find that video real quick to place, but I haven't come across it yet. But that's one of the things. It's if I had to tell everybody watching and listening, one of the biggest things is you got to realize that everybody has they're going to have their take. Fox News is going to have their take on it, but I mean, we have to be honest. ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, they have an agenda. They actually, it's not some Republican right wing conspiracy. It's really easy to see that they intentionally framed a narrative, and they went with it. And because it's just the stuff that they're showing on screen, they're not giving you the whole picture, which in itself is dishonest.
Yeah.
It's just like anything. If we edit something down, I mean, what was the Zimmerman, video when NBC did that, where they took in and they completely edited out the, 911 operator asking, what color is he, and saying, I think he's black. When they edited and they played it, it's like, I'm following him, he's black. And of course, boom, the guys, that's not what happened. But they edited it. They said for time, which is what they always do.
Yeah.
But they have an absolute angle that they're going for. And that's what these things. So once again, we're, come full circle. What is it? Is this insurrection? Is this sedition? What is it? Is this somewhere in between? Is this just a group that are so upset about, and ramped up that they think that an election was stolen, that it ended up becoming, ramped up, and they go into the Capitol. But I said, I would be more than happy to say 99, percent plus of those people never had any intention of doing anything, beyond just going into the Capitol. There was no plan to go find Mike Pence and drag him out and hang him in the public square.
Mm-hmm.
You might have had a couple people that was their goal, but that's not. It's just like anything. You can't condemn everyone for one crazy person.
Yeah. No,
and that's
not at all.
But right now it's just, unfortunately, like our friend, rest in peace, Michael. He was lumped in and condemned with the lot.
Yeah.
And that's, and anybody that knew him knows that was not him.
No,
He was
no, not at all. And as far as we know, he didn't have any legal ramifications, but it was also thorny for him because he was a lawyer. I mean, that was his
I think it's just he went in hiding because he just wanted to make sure nothing occurred.
Yeah.
But that's it's definitely, but I encourage people to go in there. It's so important to get all the information and just start seeing where things overlap. And that's where it is. Just like the strings, you'll start seeing where things, and you'll realize that these news agents, outlets and stuff aren't telling you the whole picture. They've got a narrative. They have something like this, but it's, I don't know. If I come away from it, I'm like, I still can't call it. That's why in the picture, I didn't say the Great Insurrection or anything like that. I go, because
just the date, because that's what it is. Let's give our audience the last word tonight. So Charles says, right, considering veterans, that are law enforcement and have PTSD. So there could be precursors there. That's our job here. I see it as a wagon wheel. I was taught that as a theater practitioner, as a writer, as a director. You have the subject matter in the middle. That's the hub. And then you have all the different points of view in the circle. That's the rim of the wheel that touches the mud, and it's dirty and it's difficult. And each one of those points of view leads directly to the theme. That's what I try to do here, Craig. I believe you try to do that here as well. So that could be.
Yes.
We're a little sideways here, but that's okay. We got a little bit of time. I do think that the whole Bitcoin and digital currency thing happening now, some banks are failing. Tesla's $750 million worth of Bitcoin got moved to other undisclosed wallets. That's a good pretty percentage of the Bitcoin that's out there that's moving around. As Charles says,
a lot of people are worried about the BRICS thing. A lot of people are getting more,
BRICS.
But I'm like, this one, like I tell people too, it's like if this surprises you, you have not been paying attention, because we've devalued our dollar so badly in the last, especially the last 20 years. It has just gone out of control. And it's only a matter of time, because it's one of those things, like even now, it's like this last one, I think we said we spent $1.6 trillion more than we brought in revenue.
But Craig,
Which
Craig, let me stop you. That's how you defeat inflation, by flooding the streets with trillions of dollars, Craig. I have to correct you.
Quantitative easing. Yeah, quantitative easing. I mean, it's like, why do you think that countries like, China, Russia, India aren't willing to use a dollar anymore?
Yeah.
And people say it's not like they no longer doing business with the US. What they're saying is that they're no longer going to use our currency as the standard. And that's all it is. It is, but it's going to have an effect, because we're going to lose the bully pulpit. We can't dictate what these countries do anymore. And that's that's money talk, but correct.
Yeah. And I want to, so there's a show that I used to watch, and I stopped watching it because they're going for clicks. So what they reported, and someone that I highly respect shared it on their Facebook page, what they're reporting is that at the meeting that's happening in the next couple of days of BRICS, right? That's Brazil, India, Russia, China, what's the S? Help me out, brother.
South Africa.
Thank you. That they're definitely going to a gold standard. That is not true. They are talking about it. What is much more likely is they're going to go to some kind of combined digital currency. So I don't care for when these guys come up and go, this is what's going to happen. No, it's simply being talked about. That really bothers me. I can't tell you how much that bothers me, because it's less sexy. It's less sexy to say they're talking about this. It might happen. And, as far as Craig, as far as a group of countries getting together and banding their power, the United States created something like the Organization of American States in the 1960s. They band together all the banana republics. And Cuba, mostly because of Che Guevara, was against it. And so they were kicked out of it. Oh, you don't want to play? Goodbye. So I'm sorry. I'm getting a little bully pulpit here, but with everything coming up, when they talk about when they talk about Russian election tampering, America, and you and I have done a ton of shows on it, Operation Condor, so on and so forth. America tampers with international elections all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
So let's talk about the wheel. Let's not talk about one spoke of the wheel, because no wheel turns with only one spoke. Okay, I'm so sorry. Sorry.
No. Well, it's just like anything. It's like people are worried about, oh my God, China's going to put a military base off of our coast. Yeah. What do you think we do? We got military bases all over on the coast. Yeah. I go, so why all of a sudden are we freaking out because of China and Russia sailed a boat past our coastline? What do you think we do every day? Yeah. We sail our shit. I found that video, by the way. I have it up there.
Okay, I'll put it up. Charles Askew created OPEC, and that's exactly right. The petroleum. Oh, come on. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. OPEC.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah. So wasn't OPEC modeled after the Texas Oil Commission? Thank you, gentlemen. Craig, I feel we got some real sinister Mysterios operating right now.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. But why can't that be the conversation, folks? Right? Here's why. Charles said it. Controversy and ad bucks are the media motivation. That's right. There are now 5 or 6 companies that own all the major media. That's why.
Bernays, master of propaganda.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The nephew of Sigmund Freud created public relations. So I don't know. Thank you all for staying with us. Craig, I think this was good stuff. This is our
Oh yeah,
brand, man.
it was definitely fun. Like I
This
said,
is what we
this
do.
is the,
I'm glad you made
yeah,
it.
this
Oh,
video is actually a pretty cool way. Yeah, this is a pretty
thank
cool
you.
thing way, like to see it out, for people to see. This is the one, and as you're watching it, just like you said, just remember, this guy was arrested. He was handcuffed, brought back here, and watch what happens.
Here we go, folks. This is how we're ending the show tonight. Craig and I will see you next week. We are together again. It is Halloween, and we are doing our favorite urban legends. So we're taking a little break off this stuff, and I still don't want to tell you what the 50th episode is, but we got a new opening we're debuting. The show officially becomes its own show. So no more episode numbers for Into the Outer Realms. It's time to let the child go. And yeah, that's gonna be super fun. But come, because it's not gonna be political. It's a really cool
it's gonna be a
mystery
for
50.
It's gonna be a really cool one. Yep.
Here we go. Good night, everybody. Oh, Craig, how do I get it to play, brother? Oh,
I gotta hit play. It was me.
thank you, sir.
Yep. So as you can see, he's arrested. He's handcuffed. So handcuffs are off.
What is he wearing? A motorcycle helmet, Craig?
Yeah, he's got a helmet on. Like I said, he just fist bump the guys right there. They're just chatting.
Back that up? Can you back that up?
Yeah. Yep. Right.
One thing is to go, okay, behave, but a fist bump?
So like right here. So yeah, he gets there. See the guy right there, Lizzo, fist bump.
Gosh darn it!
And so, like I said, he's getting on. The guys are just chat. They're all three just chatting away, and they walk. They tell him which way to go. He walks off. I go. So here's the thing: was that a conspiracy, or that he was an undercover, or does this disprove that they're violent protesters seeking to destroy and overthrow the government, with the fact that they didn't care about it? They just
wow.
I don't care about that.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
So. Guys, that's a good one to leave you with. Yeah, Charles says we will tell you what to think, and if you doubt it, we will tell you another story. I bring this up sometimes. We're gonna go. Judith Butler, who is a rhetorician, says it's not what's in the frame, it's what's outside the frame, because that's what we do. I'm a filmmaker. What we put in the frame is what we want you to see, and how we frame it is what we want you to think the narrative is. It's an art form, and unfortunately it's bled over into quote unquote real life, which is entertainment, right? The 24-hour news cycle.
That's right.
It's entertainment. That's right. So Craig, I have to say it is an absolute privilege to do this show with you, sir.
It is an honor. I said, I appreciate everybody, and I like it. The Mysterios. I actually like it. That's what.
That's our brigade. So thank you, people.
There we go.
Oh, Craig, hit him with the tagline, brother.
It's like, don't be sinister, stay mysterious.
Right on. Well, la did that.
Urban Legends next week. Happy Halloween.
I may even wear a weird Halloween hat.
Oh, that might be a good one.
That's as far as I'm gonna go. Peace, everyone.
Face paint.